China's preference for Pakistan over India has roots that go back to the mid-20th century, shaped by wars, borders, alliances, and a constant reshuffling of global power. While at first glance it may seem like a simple matter of one country picking a friend over another, the reality is layered, with China's motives spanning military strategy, geography, trade security, ideological rivalry, and quiet long-term influence. Each decision Beijing makes toward Pakistan is informed by how it sees its own position in Asia and how it calculates the balance of power with India. The first seeds of this alignment were planted after the 1962 Sino-Indian War. That short but decisive conflict ended in China's favor and left a lingering mistrust between Beijing and New Delhi. India's later decision to give asylum to the Dalai Lama and its growing closeness with the Soviet Union in the Cold War only deepened China's perception that India was not an ally but a competitor and potentially a threat. Around the same time, Pakistan, which had fought its first war with India in 1947 over Kashmir, was looking for partners who could offset India's military and political weight. This made the two countries natural partners, despite their different political systems. In the decades that followed, China moved from cautious diplomacy to deep strategic cooperation with Pakistan. One major reason was geography. The two countries share a border in the high mountains of the Karakoram, linked by the Karakoram Highway, an engineering feat through one of the most rugged regions in the world. This road, completed in the late 1970s, became both a symbol and a practical link for trade, military cooperation, and intelligence sharing. More recently, this connection has been supercharged by the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor (CPEC), a massive collection of infrastructure projects connecting China's Xinjiang province to Pakistan's Arabian Sea coastline at Gwadar Port is one of the clearest examples of how China's relationship with Pakistan fits into its global strategy. China imports most of its oil from the Middle East, and the majority of it passes through the Strait of Malacca, a narrow channel between Malaysia and Indonesia that could easily be blockaded by a hostile navy. Chinese strategists have long worried about this Malacca dilemma. By developing Gwadar and linking it to western China through highways, railways, and pipelines, Beijing gains a backdoor route for its trade and energy supplies, one that avoids maritime choke points vulnerable to US or Indian interference. This is not just about economics in a crisis. That route could mean the difference between keeping China's economy running and seeing it crippled. The military dimension is equally important. Over the last 40 years, China has become Pakistan's largest and most reliable source of advanced weaponry. This includes the joint development of the JF-17 Thunder fighter aircraft, tanks like the Al-Khalid, guided missile systems, drones, and surveillance technology. China has also been linked to assistance in Pakistan's nuclear weapons program during the 1980s and 1992, when Western restrictions made it difficult for Islamabad to acquire critical components elsewhere. By equipping Pakistan with modern arms, China helps ensure that India faces a two-front challenge: the possibility of conflict both with Pakistan in the west and China in the north or northeast. This divides India's resources, planning, and military spending, preventing it from focusing solely on competing with China. Diplomatic maneuvering forms another layer of this partnership. In the United Nations and other international forums, China has repeatedly shielded Pakistan from censure. It has blocked moves to blacklist certain individuals and groups linked to terrorism in Pakistan, arguing for more evidence or dialogue. It has opposed India's bid to join the Nuclear Suppliers Group, citing the need for all non-signatories of the Non-Proliferation Treaty to be considered equally, a stance that conveniently keeps India out while causing no harm to Pakistan. For its part, Pakistan backs China's positions on Taiwan, Tibet, Hong Kong, and most controversially, Xinjiang. Despite being a Muslim-majority nation, Pakistan has avoided criticizing China's policies toward Uyghur Muslims, even defending Beijing's counterterrorism narrative when pressed by other Muslim states. The economic angle is where the relationship becomes more complex and, some would argue, risky for Pakistan. CPEC has brought billions of dollars in investment for roads, power plants, and industrial zones, but much of this money is in the form of loans. Pakistan's debt burden has grown, raising fears that it could fall into a situation where it has to make strategic concessions, such as giving China long-term operational control over Gwadar or other key assets in exchange for debt relief. This possibility is not theoretical. Similar situations have already occurred in Sri Lanka, where Chinese control over Hambantota port was secured through a 99-year lease after Colombo could not repay its loans. Critics inside and outside Pakistan worry that Gwadar could face a similar fate. Security challenges add another dimension to this picture. Baloch separatist groups in Pakistan's Baluchistan province, where Gwadar is located, see CPEC as a project that benefits outsiders while ignoring local needs. They have carried out attacks on Chinese engineers, consulates, and infrastructure. These incidents have forced Pakistan to deploy thousands of special security personnel dedicated to protecting Chinese projects and citizens. There are also reports of private Chinese security companies operating in Pakistan, a sign that Beijing takes these threats seriously and is willing to take direct action to safeguard its investments. Interestingly, for all the depth of this cooperation, there is no formal defense alliance between China and Pakistan. This is deliberate. By avoiding a treaty, China keeps its commitments flexible. It can enjoy the benefits of the partnership's strategic positioning, economic access, and diplomatic alignment without the legal obligation to come to Pakistan's aid in every conflict. This also gives China more room to maneuver with. India. Beijing can present itself as a responsible power that is not bound by military pacts in South Asia, even as it works to shape the balance of power there in its favor. China's use of Pakistan as part of a wider regional strategy goes beyond just India. In recent years, Beijing has positioned itself as a mediator in regional disputes, including efforts to ease tensions between Pakistan and Afghanistan. By presenting itself as a peace broker, China increases its diplomatic credibility and influence, making it harder for India or Western countries to exclude it from major regional decisions. Every success in this role also strengthens Pakistan's value as a partner, since Islamabad is a key player in any settlement involving Afghanistan. For Pakistan, the benefits of Chinese support are obvious: access to modern military hardware, large-scale infrastructure investment, diplomatic protection at the UN, and a reliable partner that shares its strategic rivalry with India. However, the risks are equally real: economic dependence, loss of control over key assets, exposure to local unrest targeting Chinese interests, and the possibility that China might withhold help in a crisis if it does not serve its own priorities. For China, the calculation is more straightforward. Supporting Pakistan is a relatively low-cost way to contain India, secure vital trade routes, expand military reach into the Arabian Sea, and gain a loyal voice in the Muslim world. It is a long-term investment that strengthens China's hand in South Asia without committing it to an open-ended military alliance. Whether one calls it a partnership of convenience or a strategic iron brotherhood, the underlying truth is that every move is rooted in cold, hard strategic logic rather than sentiment, and that logic will continue to guide the relationship for decades to come.